The grand halls of the Chinese capital once again became the stage of global diplomacy as Russian President Vladimir Putin sat across from his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. On this early September day, the atmosphere inside Beijing's Great Hall of the People carried more than the weight of protocol. It reflected the deepening partnership between two of the world's most powerful nations, a partnership Putin described as being at an unprecedentedly high level. Putin, addressing Xi with warmth and formality, chose his words carefully but carried an unmistakable message. Moscow and Beijing are not merely cooperating out of convenience, but are building what both sides see as a lasting strategic bond. As he looked directly at Xi, Putin referred to him as his dear friend, underlining the personal rapport that has become a recurring feature of their encounters. The Russian leader highlighted both the symbolism and the substance of this meeting. The timing was not accidental. Only days before, preparations were underway in Beijing for a large-scale military parade, a showcase of Chinese strength and organization. For Putin, the parade served as an opportunity to underscore Russia's respect for China's military capabilities and the wider message they send to the world. Speaking in his characteristically deliberate manner, Putin offered a series of carefully measured remarks during his joint appearance with Xi. His words were not only directed at the Chinese leadership, but also at a global audience watching closely for signals of how Russia and China intend to navigate the shifting balance of power. Vladimir Putin said, "You've just mentioned that it might rain tomorrow, but I am sure that this will not spoil our festive mood, and the Chinese armed forces will carry out this event with their usual splendor." The statement, though light in tone, was steeped in symbolism. Russia's leader emphasized that neither weather nor outside pressure could dampen the spirit of the partnership, particularly as it was about to be displayed in front of the world through China's military pageantry. In his second remark, Putin delivered a pointed summary of what he believes the relationship represents. Vladimir Putin declared, "Our close communication reflects the strategic nature of Russian-Chinese relations, which are at an unprecedentedly high level." Those words, carefully chosen, are likely to resonate far beyond Beijing. They were both an acknowledgement of the progress achieved in recent years and a direct signal to the West that Russia and China now view their alignment as not just tactical, but deeply strategic. Finally, Putin highlighted the personal element of diplomacy, the sense of friendship between delegations and nations. Vladimir Putin affirmed, "Dear friend, I and the whole Russian delegation are happy about our new meeting with our Chinese friends and colleagues." In those closing words, Putin wrapped policy and personal sentiment together, reinforcing that this meeting was more than protocol. It was a deliberate affirmation of trust and continuity. Putin's visit comes at a time of intense geopolitical rivalry. Russia remains entangled in the war in Ukraine, facing continued sanctions and economic pressure from the United States and its European allies. Meanwhile, China is navigating its own challenges with Washington, from trade disputes to technology restrictions to escalating tensions over Taiwan. For both leaders, strengthening their alliance provides strategic depth. For Moscow, Beijing's support offers economic lifelines and political legitimacy. For Beijing, close ties with Russia present an opportunity to reinforce a multipolar world order in which US dominance is curbed. The personal rapport between Putin and Xi has become a hallmark of their diplomatic encounters. Over the past decade, they have met dozens of times, often describing their partnership in glowing terms. Putin's reference to Xi as his dear friend was not a casual aside. It was part of a carefully cultivated image of mutual respect and personal trust. The military parade mentioned by Putin is set to be one of the largest displays of Chinese power in recent years. Such events are carefully choreographed, not just for domestic audiences, but for the global stage. For Putin to praise the Chinese armed forces so directly, emphasizing their usual splendor, is to lend Russia's stamp of approval to China's rise as a formidable military power. Observers note that Moscow and Beijing have expanded their military cooperation significantly. Joint exercises, intelligence sharing, and increased dialogue between defense ministries have become regular occurrences. The symbolism of Putin standing in Beijing as Chinese troops prepare to march is not lost on military analysts across the world. Beyond military symbolism, economics underpins much of this relationship. Sanctioned heavily by the West, Russia has turned to China as a crucial trade partner. Energy exports, arms cooperation and shared infrastructure projects have tied the two economies closer together. China, for its part, gains access to discounted Russian oil and gas, while expanding its influence across Central Asia and the Arctic through joint ventures. By declaring relations at an unprecedentedly high level, Putin signals that Russia sees this economic pivot not as temporary, but as part of a long-term reorientation. In Moscow's vision, the Eurasian partnership between Russia and China serves as a counterweight to Western alliances. Putin's visit also carries diplomatic weight for countries beyond Russia and China. Nations in Europe, Asia, Africa, and Latin America will read these remarks as part of a broader pattern, the consolidation of a Eurasian axis that seeks to limit Western hegemony. The Russian president's emphasis on close communication highlights that these are not occasional meetings, but part of an ongoing dialogue. For the West, this signals challenges ahead. Sanctions intended to isolate Russia are increasingly offset by its partnership with China. Efforts to contain China's rise are complicated by its alignment with a fellow permanent member of the UN Security Council. It is worth noting that this moment echoes earlier periods of Russia-China cooperation, though with significant differences. During the Cold War, Moscow and Beijing were allies before ideological rifts divided them. Today, the alignment is less about shared ideology and more about shared strategic interests. Both nations feel constrained by Western dominance and seek to shape an alternative world order. Putin's remarks, therefore, are not only about celebrating current ties, but also about inscribing them into history as part of a longer story, one of Eurasian solidarity against perceived Western overreach. Even as the statements were formal, the optics carried a more human touch. Putin's references to rain, to festive moods and to friendship gave a personal rhythm to what might otherwise have been dry diplomatic language. Such touches play an important role in the way state media in both countries present these meetings, as gatherings not only of politicians but of trusted partners. This blend of the human and the strategic reflects how modern diplomacy is conducted. Grand strategy clothed in gestures of warmth and friendship. As Putin departed Beijing, the key takeaways were clear. Russia and China are signaling to the world that their partnership is not only intact, but strengthening. By emphasizing strategic communication and describing ties as unprecedentedly high, Putin has declared that this partnership is central to Russia's foreign policy. The coming days will show the parade in Beijing, the images of Chinese troops marching in unison, and likely Putin standing alongside Xi in a powerful visual of unity. For Russia and China, these moments are carefully staged, but their underlying significance lies in the unmistakable message of enduring alignment. What began as a set of remarks in a Beijing meeting room now reverberates across global capitals. Moscow and Beijing are charting a path together, one that may shape the course of global politics for years to come.